A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. This is one of, if not the most, impactful mental frames that I have ever learned. At its core, this line is about anticipatory suffering, which is the pain we create by mentally living through future problems that have not happened or may never happen. To understand this quote, it helps to understand who wrote it, why, and the kind of environment that they were in when he wrote it. This line comes from Seneca, who is one of the great Stoic philosophers and one of my personal favorites. He wrote this during a time of extreme instability in Rome. This time was riddled with political purges, exile, executions, and sudden reversals of fortune. Seneca repeatedly observed that people were not tormented by the events themselves, but by their judgments about those events. People spend so much of their lives distressed about things that have not happened yet, and often never happen at all. Seneca calls this suffering in imagination. Let's take a real world example. Someone has some anxiety about layoffs at work. They hear the rumors of the layoffs, no announcements have been made yet, no facts are available, but from that moment on, they begin living as if they had already lost the job. They replay that termination conversation in their head. They imagine that email coming in. They see the calendar invite. They think about the walk outside of the building. They calculate how long their savings will last. They feel that embarrassment of telling family and friends. But none of this has actually occurred yet. Yet the stress is real, immediate, and constant. Because of all of this, their sleep deteriorates, they lose focus, their performance declines. Ironically, the anticipatory suffering begins to create the very vulnerability they fear. If the layoff never comes, they have paid a heavy psychological price for nothing. If the layoff does come, they experience that pain twice, first in imagination and then again in reality. Ironically, again, the imaginary price usually lasts longer and costs much more than if the layoff had actually occurred. Have you ever been worried about something and it just feels like a year you've been worried about this thing, and then it happens and you're over it in like 15 minutes? It's the exact same thing. Now, to be clear, the message here is not to ignore the possibilities. The message is not an excuse to take no action that might prevent possible bad outcomes. The message is to avoid living as if outcomes have occurred before they ever occur. This can actually go the other way around too, with positive possibilities. Let's say that maybe you're lined up for a new promotion, but you haven't been awarded it yet. This promotion comes with more responsibility, but also a massive pay increase. Despite not yet getting the promotion, you choose to go out and buy yourself a new car that you could only afford if that promotion did come. The time comes, and maybe you were passed up. In this case, you were living as if things had happened in the future before they had actually happened. Whether it's a negative situation or a positive situation, this is not a good way to operate. So, how can we apply it to our lives? First, separate preparation from worry. Ask yourself this question: is this thought helping me take a concrete action? If the answer is yes, then go ahead and act. If the answer is no, it's unnecessary suffering. Now, the second thing we can do is return to the present. I know this is very hard to do. Life only happens now. When the mind jumps ahead, the body pays that cost immediately through tension, fatigue, and stress. When that anxiety appears, identify whether it's a real threat that's present or if it's imagined. If it's imagined, then simply redirect your attention to something that is actionable today. Now, the last thing you can do, accept that pain has a time and a rightful moment. But most importantly, borrowing it early only weakens you for when it truly arrives, if it ever arrives. We live in a world that's optimized for this anticipatory suffering. Constant news, alerts, everybody speaking in hypotheticals. It's increasingly difficult to remain present. But here's the good news. You don't need to live every disaster now to survive it later. You don't need to suffer before it is necessary.